Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. As ever, if you're new here, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Without further ado, there's quite a lot to talk about. The first main thing is Moses' Itauma against Jermaine Franklin. I had a pleasure of going to that event. I thought, firstly, in terms of it being a spectacle, I thought it was awesome. The co it was actually my first time going to co-op live. And I think the arena is fantastic. I do. I think and the atmosphere it generated as well. It's the world's so from Google apparently it's the biggest indoor arena in England and the UK with a capacity of 23,500. I don't think it reached 23,500, but there was a lot. It was near to get into that point. Um and so it was it was full, it was loud, it was energetic, and I think the fights really delivered as well. You had everything. You had, the likes of Michael Gomez Jr. against Jordan Flynn. That sort of started the bill and really set the tone for what was to come. Of course, Gomez Jr. getting that stoppage decision inside 3 rounds. And then you had Murphy against Holmes. Murphy was, I guess, on the front foot, but then he just got caught. And then that ended in a first round knockout, and then you had Willie Hutchinson, Ezra Taylor, that sort of went the distance. But Willie Hutchinson boxed very well. Ezra Taylor just fell short, and then you had the main event: Moses Itauma, Jermaine Franklin, and I think Moses Itauma really answered a lot of questions there. He got pinged a couple times by Franklin, but he was able to weather that storm and delivered a really good performance. It was mature, it was calculated, and it was very good. Um, I think in terms of like what's next and what boxing needs, I think that's exactly what it needs. And I guess a good example of that was before the event. I was at just a networking event in Manchester with a company called Flair Financials. They do some events. Sorry, they manage the sort of wealth managers for footballers and are in wealth management. And it was really good going to that event. But speaking to some of the people there, I didn't realize how much of a niche sport boxing was until you get out of the bubble that you're in. And you seem and it seems as though everyone knows a lot about boxing, but when in reality it is still a niche sport. Because I was talking to these guys about Moses Talma, and not a lot of people knew who he was, and to me that's crazy because he's a Nike athlete. Um he's been like his face is on Nike Town in London. He's working with sponsors, very big sponsors, and for me, I thought he'd already reached that level of people really starting to know him. And I guess there's still a long way to go. He still is only 21 years of age, and I think, going back to my earlier point, I think it is exactly what boxing needs, especially considering that Tyson Fury and AJ are coming towards the latter end of their careers. We don't know if they're going to fight yet. We don't know what AJ is going to do next. Tyson Fury, of course, got that fight in just a couple of weeks against Aslanbek Makhmudov, and yeah, just it is like boxing needs that crossover star, and I think Atalma needs to. Well, he doesn't need to, but he's got a good opportunity to really sort of fill those shoes, those big shoes that are going to be left because AJ is a commercial powerhouse. Everyone knows him. Everyone knows him, and you know even him when he went to America, right, to fight Jake Paul. I guess he didn't really cross over into the American market. He had that fight against Andy Ruiz, but still, there were a lot of people who didn't know a lot about Asia in America before he went over to fight Jake Paul, and I guess Jake Paul helped with that. But now he has a big presence in America. And then just quickly in terms of what could happen next, I mean, Frank Warren was saying that the stadium fight in the summer, um, and I guess he's still there's still like it's that balance of really pushing him because he is very talented, but also looking at his age, 21 years of age, and I guess Frank Warren is very good at managing, guiding, and navigating young talents the through the through matchmaking, through careful matchmaking, through making sure that they find the right people at the right time. And I think they've done a great job so far in doing so. Because Jermaine Franklin, that was the first time he'd been stopped in his professional career, and he's come up against the likes of Anthony Joshua and Dillian White. So he knows how to work his way around the ring. He's got that ring craftsmanship. Um, so yeah, that was a big performance. In terms of who could fight next, Philip Hergovich has got that fight with Dave Allen. Thought that would be a good fight. Usyk maybe is that too close, but then if he is going to fight Usyk, if not now, then when? Because he is sort of coming to that latter stages. Jared Anderson signed a co-promotional deal with Queensberry Top Rank. That could be a fight. That could be a good option for Jared Anderson. And I guess Itauma's in that good position of he's with Frank Warren. Frank Warren are the dominant stable, the dominant force in the heavyweight division. So there is, they can make fights quite easily because it is all in house. I also had the privilege of, just moving away from that, I also had the privilege of interviewing Lawrence Okoli, who's going to fight Tony Yoka in April. Sorry, not in April. Yeah, in April, 25th of April. So that's not that's not far away at all. He's going to fight Tony Yoka in Paris. So yeah, Queensberry have done shows in Germany. They've done shows now in Paris. I think that's where Tony Yoka's from. They've done shows now in Manchester. Done shows in Ireland. So it seems like they're really capturing the market, and something that's quite clever that they are trying to do, I think, is Caballero's from Germany. They're trying to really, I guess, grow each star in their home country so that then they can open the sport up to newer markets. And I think it's a good strategy, especially in Germany. That atmosphere, I didn't go, but you could see from TV it was bouncing. And you put Caballero in a football stadium, 40-50,000 people in the football stadium. He can sell tickets, he can shift tickets, and I guess Germany's missing that next German star like they had with the Klitschko's. So yeah, a very fruitful and good time for British boxing, I think, and I guess for boxing around the world in newer markets. But I guess going back to the overarching theme in this video is that boxing does need more of those breakout stars, and we have to. I guess in the boxing world, you got to actively start pushing these to be crossover fights. But yeah, the future is bright for Moses Itauma if he continues on the current trajectory. And I'll end with who he could fight next. I guess you've got Jared Anderson, Solomon Dakers at the O2. Sorry, in a couple weeks time, right? In May. You've got Jared Anderson, Solomon Dakers in May. That's going to be on the Dubois Wardley undercard. Could he fight the winner of those? I don't know. Can that sell out a stadium? I don't know, but yeah, if he is going to fight at a stadium fight, he is going to need to fight someone not with credibility, because I don't want to sound disrespectful, but he needs to fight someone who's well established and who can equally as shift tickets. But I guess if anything is to go by on this co-op live event in Manchester, he can shift those tickets. And yeah, Nathan Heaney, Jerome Warburton. I think a big reason why that event was moved to co-main was because Heaney bought a lot of fans. I think he bought 3,000 fans, and when his ring walk was coming on, the whole stadium was erupted. So yeah, just my thoughts on the event in Manchester, how great it was, and I guess how good the boxing schedule is looking over the next couple of weeks. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.